Let's begin. Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalinti Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan Keshi Khata Bamsi Bhatta Dwadasha Kanana Jaha Sab Lila Kailo Shri Nandanandan Srinanda Jashoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan Shri Damadi Jaya Jaya Dhenu Vatsagan Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kirtida Sundari Jaya Pauranmasi Jaya Abhira Nagari Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavana Mad Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakha Bhatu Dvijaraj जय राम घाट जय रोहिणी नंदन जय जय वृंदावन बासी जत जन जय द्विज पत्नी जय नाग कन्या गण भक्ति ते जहारा पाइलो गोविंद चरण श्री रास मंडल जय जय राधा श्याम जय जय रास लीला सर्व मनोराम जय जय उज्ज्वल रस सर्व रस सार पर किए भावे जहाँ पर जेते प्रचार श्री जानव पद पद्म कोरिया स्मरण दीन कृष्ण दास कहे नाम संकीर्तन जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन. All right, so we are on Madhya 6, chapter 6, and yesterday we heard the topics between Sārvabhauma Bhattacārya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya has become the teacher and he's teaching the Vedanta for 7 days, and Mahaprabhu didn't open his mouth at all. And Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya got restless. He's like, why are you not asking me any questions? Are you understanding or not understanding? Please tell me. Then Mahaprabhu said, I understand the aphorisms very clearly, but your purports, they are confusing me. They are agitating my mind. And then the topics have begun. So we are going to continue the same thing. If you're reading the book, we have done till slok number 148. Now we go to 149. Aho bhagyam, nanda gopa vrajaukusam, yan mitram paramanandam, purnam brahma sanatanam. This is a quotation from Bhagavatam. It says, oh, how greatly fortunate Ananda Maharaj, the cowherdman, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. There is no limit to their fortune because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. Now, this shloka has been taken purposely because Sarbhaum Bhattacharya is a Vedanti. So he only says, oh, it's all Brahma, it's all Brahma, it's all Brahma. It's all formless, it's all omniscient. Bhagwan is omniscient. Now, this shloka says, but that omniscient came as friend, as an inhabitant of Vrindavan, as the son of Nanda. So how are you saying that he is formless? He has come as form. Apani pada shruti vraje prakita pani charana una kahe shigra kachale kare sarva grahana. The Vedic Apanipada mantra rejects material hands and legs. Yet, at the same time, it says, the Lord goes very fast and accepts everything offered to him. Like the Veda Sutras, they'll say, he has no eyes, but he sees everywhere. Who is that who is seeing? When he has no eyes, then what is he seeing? He has no legs, but he is walking. All these mantras confirm that absolute truth is personal. But all these Advaitavadis, they throw away the direct meaning and interpret the absolute truth as impersonal. Sarvaishwarya Purnananda Vigraha Yanara Hena Bhagavane Tumi Kahe Nirakara. You are saying he is Nirakara, formless. But do you agree that the Vedas also say that he is Shad Aishwarya Yukta? The one who has all the riches, all the strength, all the knowledge, all the fame, all the beauty, and all renunciation. So if somebody has strength, something which is formless, how can it have strength? Something which is formless, how can it have knowledge? You will say knowledge is formless. Okay. Something which is formless, how can it have wealth? How can it have all fame? And at the same time is renunciant. Something which is formless, how do you attach all these adjectives to something that is formless? Specifically, bala. Bala means strength. How do you do that? And riches, Aishwarya, Dhana, Shriya. How do you attach? So the statement that you are saying that he is formless is, and the explanation itself, they are contracting each other. They are refuting each other. And then he goes on saying, Swabhikati na shakti yai brahmahaya naishtika karita rekaraha nischaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three potencies. Are you trying to prove that he has no potencies? And then he quoted verses from Vishnu Puran. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetragnakhya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Samagnya Triti Shakti Ishyate Yashya Kshetra Jana Shakti Sa Veshtita Nipa Sarvaga Samsara Tapana Akhilan Avapnoti Atra Sanatana. He says, the internal potency of Lord Vishnu is spiritual, as verified by the Shastras. There is another spiritual potency known as Kshetragnya, or the living entity. The third potency, known as Niscience, makes the living entity godless and fills him with fruitive activity. O king, the Kshetragnya Shakti is the living entity. Although he has facility to live in either the material or the spiritual world, he suffers the threefold miseries of material existence because he is covered by avidya or niscience, which covers his constitutional position. The living entity is covered by this ignorance, avidya, and he exists in different forms in the material condition. O king, he is thus proportionally freed from the influence of material energy to a greater or lesser degree. Ladini sandini samvit tvai eka sarva samashraye ladataapa kari mishra tvai no gunavarjite. सचिदानंदमया ही हय ईश्वर स्वरूपा तीन अंश चित शक्ति हय तीन रूपा. He says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sachidananda Vigraha. That means he has three potencies. The pleasure potency, the potential of eternity, and the potential of and the potency of knowledge. Together, these are called as the chitta potency. And they are present in the Lord in full form. For living entities who are part and parcel of the Lord, the pleasure potency in the material world is sometimes displeasing and sometimes it is mixed. Thus, this is not the case with Bhagwan, because he is not under the influence of material energy or its three modes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form is full of eternity, knowledge and bliss. The spiritual potencies in this form is Sat, Chit, Anand. That itself assumes three forms. And these potencies are known as Ladini, the bliss potency, Sandhini, the eternity portion, and Sambit, the knowledge portion. We accept knowledge of these as full knowledge of Bhagwan. Antaranga Chitta Shakti, Tatastha Jiva Shakti, Bahiranga Maya, Tine Kare Prema Bhakti. The Antaranga Shakti, which is the Chitta Shakti, means the energy of the consciousness. It's called internal energy. Then the living being is Tatastha Shakti, borderline. And Bahiranga is the Maya. These are all engaged in the bhakti of Bhagwan. Shadvid Aishwarya Prabhu Chitta Shakti Vilasa, Hena Shakti Nahi Mana Paramasahas. In his spiritual potency, the Supreme Lord enjoys 6 kinds of opulences. You are not accepting this spiritual potency, and this is due to your great impudence. The Lord is the master of potencies, and living entity is the servant of them. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. However, you declare that the living entity and the Lord are now one and the same, because everything is Brahma. They say everything is Brahma. So I am him. He is me. Shivoham, I am Shiv. Shiv is me. So you are telling that the living entity and Bhagwan is one. Whereas the living entity is not one. Bhagwan is Sachid Anand. Anand means Ladini Shakti. Means happiness, bliss. Bhagwan is blissful in all situations. Are human beings blissful in all situations? Sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. But Bhagwan is blissful. Bhagwan is always rich. He possesses everything, all the wealth. Human beings, are they like that? He is Satchidanand. He is Sat. He is always existing. Human beings or not human beings, living entities, are they always existing? Satchit Anand. He is Chetan. He is conscious. He knows everything. Even while he incarnated, he knows everything. When he gave Gita, he spoke. Oh Arjuna, you have forgotten, I know everything, in chapter 4. And this knowledge I have given from Ikshvaku dynasty. Before that, I gave it to sun god. He is conscious. He is cognizant. Under all circumstances, even when he took an incarnation. A living entity has incarnated so many times. Is he cognizant? Does he remember? He remembers even, for us, we will forget what we did yesterday also. If I ask you what you did yesterday, tell me every hour, you will not remember. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, you are saying the living entity and Bhagwan, they are both Brahma, they are both the same. Is the level of cognizance the same? Is the level of enjoyment the same? Are they both absolute truth? That means then the purpose of an incarnation, that you are refuting that God can incarnate. Then Krishna becomes an ordinary person. Then Ram becomes an ordinary person. He's just like you and me then. Because people say, oh, that Bhagwan spoke from inside Krishna. No, Krishna didn't do that. Krishna showed it. You receive the Gita, he has shown his universal form. Nowhere till the end he says, oh Arjun, and you, oh Arjun, now I have given you the knowledge. First of all, Krishna is giving the knowledge. And then he says, now since I gave you the knowledge, now you have the knowledge, now you have become like me. Krishna never says, I and you are Bhagwan now. Can there be two Bhagwans? Because I gave you the knowledge. In fact, Arjun forgot the knowledge afterwards. And in Mahabharata, he again goes and says, I forgot what he spoke there on the battlefield. Can you speak one more time? And he gave Laghu Gita. Same argument he's putting. What are you talking, Saru? Gita Shastre Jiva Rupa Shakti Kare Mane Hena Jiva Bheda Kara Ishvare Rasane. In the Gita, the living entity is established as marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead. Yet you say that the living entity is completely different from the Lord. Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhi Revacha Ahankara Itiyam Me Minna Prakriti Ashtadha. अप्रमेय स्थितस्त्वन्यम प्रकृति विद्धि में पराम जीव भूता महाबाहो येदम धार्यते जगत. Earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are my eight full separated energies. Beside this infinite energy, which are material, there is an other energy, and that is spiritual energy, and that is the living being. So Bhagwan is very clearly distinguished. All these Prakriti elements are my energy, but they are inferior. I am above them, I am above them. And the Jiva is Tatastha Shakti, means it is having both. It is having the inferior energy as well as the higher energy. Inferior energy is this body, and the higher energy is the soul. I am fully cognizant, I am fully aware of it. But you have forgotten. ईश्वरे रसी विग्रह सच्चिदानंदकार से विग्रह कहे सत्व गुण गुणेरा विकार. The transcendental form of the Bhagwan is full of eternity, cognizance, and bliss. However, you are describing that as a product of material goodness. One who does not accept the transcendental form of the Lord is certainly an agnostic. Such a person should neither be seen nor touched. Indeed, he is subjected to be punished by Yamraj. Vedana maniya buddha hayata nastika. The Buddhists are considered to be Nastik because they do not accept the Vedas. Vedashraya Nastika Vada Bautika Adhika. However, those who are approaching the Vedas, and if they are giving the similar philosophy as the Buddhists, then they are also in the same position. Bhagwan Buddha did not accept Vedas because Vedas had given so much of karma kanda. Karma kanda means rituals. And in that ritual, some of the rituals, there was one very horrible ritual which people misunderstood, and that was called Pashubali, sacrificing of an animal. Highly misunderstood, misinterpreted. And people, because of their selfish desires, they went on killing animals. Bhagwan Buddha went against that. And he realized that if as long as people are referring the Vedas, they will follow this. So he went in, he gave another philosophy, the Buddhist philosophy. And he said, this is not the Vedas. I do not believe in Vedas. I do not believe in any God. When Shankaracharya came, he gave a parallel philosophy because he had to give. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to correct that. He's like, do not talk like those Buddhists who rejected the Vedas. You have taken the Vedas, now you are giving the same interpretation and not accepting. Bhagwan can be with form too. He has, in the same Vedas, all the incarnation of Bhagwan has been spoken about. Now do not say that they were not incarnations. They are just Brahma, and Jeev is also Brahma. Jeevera nistara lagi sutra kaila vyasa मायावादी भाष्य सुनीला है सर्वनाश. Srila Vyasadeva presented the Vedanta philosophy. Srila Vyasadeva is the same person who has told about in length about Krishna avatar, about Vara avatar, about Hiranyakashipu avatar, about Dwadash Mahabhagavad in Bhagavatam. He has spoken about Devi incarnation, he has spoken about Shiva incarnation, he has spoken everything. And same person, he wrote Mahabharata. And then again he wrote Bhagavatam. And then after that also, he was like, no, people will still maybe get, it's such big volumes, right? So then he gave Vedanta Sutra. He was very clear in his head what he has given. But the interpretations done by people misguided everyone. So here is saying, Vedanta was given by Srila Vyasadeva for the deliverance of conditioned soul. But if somebody hears the commentary, and especially the Mayavadi commentary, then yes, they will lose the essence of Vedanta. Parinamavada Vyasa Sutrera Sammata Achintya Shakti Ishwar Jagad Rupe Parinata. The Vedanta Sutra aims at establishing that the cosmic manifestation has come into being by transformation of the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. मानी है चे अविकृते प्रसबे हेम भार जगद रूप हय ईश्वर तबु अविकार. The touchstone, after touching an iron, produces volumes of gold without being changed. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in many cosmic manifestations, but he still remains the same. व्यास भ्रांत बलि से ही सूत्र दोषे दिया विवर्तवाद स्थापिये चे कल्पना करिया. Whatever Vyas they've explained, that theory was twisted, misinterpreted by all these Advaitwadi philosophers, and they accused him of error. They accused of error in Vyasadeva. They thus find fault in Vedanta Sutra and interpret it to try to establish the theory of illusion. Kalpana Kariya. They have just understood it the way they want to understand it. It is their mental concoction. जीवे रहते आत्मा बुद्धि से ही मिथ्या हया जगत ये मिथ्या नहीं नश्वर मात्र हया. They say, oh, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Means this world is lies, this world is false. Only truth is Brahma. You and I and you are Brahma. Everything else is false. He says, the theory of illusion can be applied only when the living being identifies himself with the body. As far as the cosmic manifestation is concerned, it cannot be false. Although it is temporary. Everything is coming. We feel it. It is temporary. It does not stay, it goes away. That statement is correct. But saying it does not exist, it is false, is not acceptable. Human beings are coming, human beings are going. They came. They left. They were here for a certain period of time. That is truth. Why are you saying no? This is false. How can you say that? Pranavei Mahavakya Ishvara Murti Pranavahite Sarva Veda Jagata Utpatti. He says the transcendental vibration Omkar is the sound form of Bhagwan. All Vedic knowledge and this cosmic manifestation have come from the Supreme Lord. Tattvamasi Jeeva Hetu Pradeshika Vakya Pranavana Tare Kahe Mahavakya. The subsidiary vibration of Om is Tattvam Asi. You are the same. Is meant for the understanding of living entity, but the principal vibration is Omkar, not caring for Omkar. The Advaitwadis only focus on Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. What are that tattva? Omkar is Bhagwan. You're only focusing Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. You are that, you are that, you are that. Thus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found out many faults in Charika Bhashya, and he pointed out hundreds of faults in it. And Sarbhaum Bhattacharya presented many arguments, but those arguments were all cancelled. He refuted. Bhagwan sambandha bhakti abhedeyahaya prema prayojana vede tina vastukaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued that Bhagwan is always there and bhakta is always there. Bhakti is always there. आराये किच्चुक है सकल कल्पना स्वतः प्रमाण वेद वाक्य कल्पना लक्षण. He says if one tries to explain the Vedic literature in a different way, he is indulging in imagination. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories of Bhagwan coming in various eras, various yugs. Full of stories of bhaktas, not one, so many bhaktas. Talking about bhakti, and you saying everything is mithya, everything is false. That means you are not accepting the Vedic literature as it is. You are indulging in your own imagination. Any interpretation of the self-evident Vedic version is simply imaginary. And that's what happens, when you read their interpretations. It gets very confusing all the time. The self, the self, the self. What self are you talking about? How much self is there? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Acharya dosha nahi. It's not the dosha of Acharya Shankaracharya. Ishwar agya haila. Ishwar gave that agya. Ateva kalpana kari nastika shastra kaila. That's why he made this shastra, which is Shariraka Bhashya, which is full of different kind of interpretation. I told you the story. It is very parallel to the Buddhist philosophy because at that time it had to be given because so many youngsters were getting influenced by Buddhism and rejecting the Vedas. How would have Shankaracharya re-established the Vedas if he had not given a parallel philosophy? And he said, what Buddha is talking is already there in the Vedas. I will show you. There's nothing different. Nothing different. And the philosophy that he gave was very parallel to this. And then people started realizing, oh, it is all from Vedas. It is all from Vedas. And then they came back. If I always question one thing, if he was so much against the form, then go to every Shankaracharya's mandir. There is always form. Why are you then propagating Murti Puja? Don't propagate Murti Puja. There is a community called Baha'i community. You go to their temple, Lotus Temple in Delhi. There's no Murti. They're following what they have to follow. They say we follow teachings from different saints. No Murti. Go to the temple, Lotus Temple. So if we are that Advaitavadi, if we are that Mayavadi, if we are that whatever philosophy you talk, formless, then why are you showing the form? Don't show the form. Why are you misguiding your followers? Everywhere there is a Shriyantra. The temple is made in Shriyantra. Why? The Shriyantra is also a form. You'll say, oh, all the cosmic energies are there. It is just a representation of that. I understand, but why the form? Just talk knowledge. That's it. Done. You go to Badrinath, established by Shankaracharya, Adi Guru Shankaracharya. The Murti is kept. It was discovered by Shankaracharya. The Narayan Murti from Satyuga. It was established. Go to any of his temple. Devi is there, Lalita Tripura Sundari is there, or Shardamba is there. So if you're really, that means there is something missing. And if he was that, I always say, if he was that Advaitavadi, why did he write Annapurna Stotra? Why did he establish Vishalakshi in Kashi? So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, there is no fault of Shankaracharya. He simply carried out the order of the personality of Godhead. He had to imagine some kind of interpretation, and therefore he presented a kind of Vedic literature that is full of atheism. Atheism means not believing in the Vedas. Bhagwan quoted a shloka from Padma Puran, Uttarakhand. स्वागमयि कल्पितस्त्वं च ज्ञानान् मद्विमुखान् कुरु मां च गोपयायेन स्यात् सृष्टिरेष्टो एषोत्तरोत्तरा. Addressing Lord Shiva, Bhagwan said, please make the general populace averse to me by imagining your own interpretation of the Vedas. Also cover me in such a way that people will take more interest in advancing material civilization just to propagate a population bereft of spiritual knowledge. Lord Shiva informed goddess Durga. This also comes from Padma Puran. Mayavadam asatchatram prachannam bodhamuchyate mayaiva vihitam devi kalau brahmana murtina. In the age of Kali, I take the form of a Brahman and explain the Vedas. All the Vedas covered with Maya, Mayic interpretations, similar to the Buddhist philosophy. Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate Mayeva Vihitam Devi Kalau Brahman Murtina Mayavadam Asat Shastram. I am the one who is going to cover it up and present it in a very baudic way. When these slokas were given from Padma Puran and other Puranas, Vishnu Puranas, then Sarbhaum Bhattacharya understood. He became stunned because Sarbhaum Bhattacharya thought, oh, he knows the Vedanta. Vedanta means end of all Vedas. Anta, Ved, Anta. End of all Vedas. The Sar of all Vedas, the gist of all Vedas is Vedanta. And that is what they focus on. You know the end of all the Vedas, but you do not know the Vedas. Vishnu Puran is also part of Vedas. Padma Puran is also part of Vedas. And you have interpreted it very differently. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened it up, everything in front of him. Now his knowledge. That's what Gopinath Acharya was telling. You have just read one book and now you are thinking you are so great. It's like the frog in the well. There were two frogs. One time a frog was living in a well and a frog from an ocean jumped into that well accidentally. So the ocean frog is saying, the ocean is very big. So this person says, how big? As big as this. As big as this well? No, bigger than that. So he starts puffing himself, bigger like this? No, bigger than that. He starts jumping up and down the ocean, bigger than this, bigger than that. Only when you jump out and you come to the ocean, you know. Similarly, our Vedas are like ocean. Vedanta is just, Vyasadeva only gave it. From that ocean, he brought some essence and gave it. But the interpretation, if it goes wrong, then people get misguided. And all of this is supported in various slokas in Vishnu Purana. And now we quoted from Padma Puran. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now told Sarbhaum Bhattacharya, do not be astonished. Actual devotional service, Bhagwan Bhakti, actually Bhakti towards Bhagwan is the Param Purusharth, is the greatest perfection of human society. Atmaram Paryanta Kare Ishvara Bhajana, Aichya Achintya Bhagwanera Guna Gana. Even the self-satisfied sages perform devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Such are the transcendental qualities of the Lord. They are full of inconceivable spiritual potency. Those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted towards the loving service of Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendently attractive features. Suni Bhattacharya kahe Shuna Mahashaya. Now Bhattacharya wanted to know one more thing. He said, please sir, I have one desire in my mind. I have a verse. Can you please explain that? Prabhu kahe, tumi ki artha kari, taha aage suni. पाछ्यामी करीब अर्थ ये बकीचू जानी सुनी भट्टाचार्य श्लोक करीला व्याख्यान तर्कशास्त्र मत उठाया विविधम विधानम. So Prabhu said, you know what, you tell me the shloka and whatever understanding you have, you first tell me that and accordingly I will reply to you. Bhattacharya took a verse which is called Atmaram verse and he explained in 9 different ways as based on the scriptures. And of course, he was Bhattacharya, he has Vedantic interpretation, so the Atmaram verses, he's explaining the way he has understood. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled at him and said, my dear Bhattacharya, you are very scholarly, just like Brihaspati, the priest of the heavenly kingdom. And I agree, and I look at you, and yes, you have such power, you can explain a scripture in such a beautiful way. And whatever you explained about the Atmaram verse, I understand you have learned so much. It's because of your vast learning. But besides all that, there is one more thing. There's another purport to this verse. Upon the request of Sarbhaum Bhattacharya, Lord Chaitanya now started explaining the verse to him. And now he'll go on explaining in a very Sanskrit scholarly way also, but with little bhakti. Atmaramasya sloke ekadash padahaya pritak pritak kaila padera artha nischaya. He says there are 11 verses in the Atmaram verse, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained each and every verse one after another. And then, so the whole verse he took, this explanation will come further also. The whole verse he took, he broke the verse into 11 parts. He explained first the 11 parts. Then he took the Atmaram verse alone, the word alone. And then he explained the Atmaram verse in 18 more ways. And he said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different potencies, his transcendental qualities, all have inconceivable powers. It is not possible to explain them fully. These 3 items attract the mind of a perfect student engaged in spiritual activities and overcome all the other processes of spiritual activity. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the meaning of the words, giving evidence from Shukdev Goswami and the 4 rishis, Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanatan. Thus the Lord gave various meanings and explanation. Upon hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation of the Atmaram verse, Sarbhaum Bhattacharya was struck with wonder. He then understood Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be Krishna in person, and he thus condemned himself in the following words. So this Atmaram verse, it will come in some other chapter also, very detailed explanation. Now Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya accepted. He is not talking to an ordinary person. First he was thinking he's just a 24-year-old handsome young man who has taken sannyasa. He has to learn the Vedanta, then only he'll be able to control himself. And then he starts teaching him Vedanta, and then in the course of the conversation, the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave all the explanations, now Bhattacharya was like, he is not an ordinary person. He's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. I was so proud of my learning. I committed an offense at his feet. And he just fell at his feet. To show him mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed him to see his Vishnu form. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pleased on him and he showed him his Vishnu form, and immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assumed 4 hands. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first showed him the 400 form and then appeared before him in the original form of Krishna with a blackish complexion and flute to his lips. When Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya saw the form of the Lord Krishna manifested in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he immediately fell down flat to offer him obeisances. Then he stood up with folded hands and began to say prayers. By the mercy of Lord, all truth were revealed to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he could understand the importance of chanting the holy name and distributing love of Godhead everywhere. Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya at that time composed 100 verses in a very short time, just like Brihaspati. Even Brihaspati can't do this. After hearing the 100 verses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happily embraced Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was immediately overwhelmed in the ecstatic love of Godhead and fell unconscious. Out of ecstatic love of Godhead, Bhattacharya shed tears and his body was stunned. He exhibited an ecstatic mode. He perspired, shook, and trembled. He sometimes danced, sometimes chanted, sometimes cried, and sometimes fell down to touch the lotus feet of the Lord. While Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya was in ecstasy, Gopinath Acharya now was very happy. They all laughed and seeing Bhattacharya dance so much. Gopinath Acharya said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Sir, you have brought all this upon Sarbhaum Bhattacharya." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You are a devotee. And because of your association, Lord Jagannath has shown mercy on Bhattacharya." After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pacified the Bhattacharya, and when he was quieted, he offered many prayers to the Lord. Bhattacharya said, "My dear sir, you have delivered the entire world. That is not a great task. However, you delivered me. That is certainly the work of your very wonderful powers. I had become dull-headed. Tarka Shastre Jadami. I read so many scriptures and I was so argumentative. I had become dull-headed, reading too many books. Consequently, I had become like an iron bar. You melted me. And therefore, your influence is very great." After hearing the prayers from Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence, and the Bhattacharya, through Gopinath Acharya, induced the Lord to accept lunch there. Early the following morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. He saw Lord rise from the bed. The priest presented him with garlands and prasadam that was offered to Lord Jagannath. This pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much, carefully tying the prasadam and garlands in a cloth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hastened to the house of Sarbhaum Bhattacharya. He arrived at Bhattacharya's house a little before sunrise, just when Bhattacharya was arising from the bed. Sarbhaum Bhattacharya rose from the bed. He distinctly chanted, "Krishna, Krishna." Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear him chant the holy name of Krishna. The Bhattacharya noticed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu outside, and with great haste, he went to him and offered prayers into his lotus feet. He offered a carpet for the Lord to sit, and they both sat there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the prasadam and placed it in the hands of Bhattacharya. At that time, Bhattacharya had not even washed his mouth because he had just arisen. Nor did he take his bath or finished his morning duties. Nonetheless, he was very happy to receive the prasad from Jagannath. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the dullness in the mind of Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya was eradicated. After reciting the following two verses, he ate the prasadam offered through him. The meaning of the prayer was, one should eat the Mahaprasadam of the Lord immediately upon receiving it, even though it is dried up or stale or brought from a distant country. One should consider neither time nor place. The prasadam of Lord Krishna is to be eaten by gentlemen as soon as it is received. There should be no hesitation. There are no regulative principles concerning time and place. This is the order of Bhagwan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to see this. He became ecstatic in the love of God and embraced Sarbhaum Bhattacharya. The Lord and servant embraced each other and began to dance. Simply by touching each other, they became ecstatic. I mean, when you hear these stories, Bhagwan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embracing Sarbhaum Bhattacharya, how ecstatic that will be. And they're dancing together while they've embraced. Spiritual symptoms, they started manifesting. symptoms like perspiration, trembling, crying, laughing. Lord was very ecstatic and he started speaking as follows. Aji Yamuni Anaya se Jinino Tribhuvana, Aji Muni Karinu Vaikuntha Arohan. Aji More Purna Haila Sarva Bilasha, Sārvabhauma Haila Mahaprasade Vishwasha. Aji Tumi Nishkapate Haila Krishna Shaya, Krishna Aji Nishkapate Tomala, Toma Haila Sadaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have conquered the three worlds today easily. I have ascended the spiritual world. I think that all my desires have been fulfilled because I see that Sarbhaum Bhattacharya, a great Vedantist, has acquired the faith in Mahaprasadam of Lord Jagannath. Indeed, today you have taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, and Krishna, without reservation, has become very merciful towards you, Sarbhauma. आजी से खंडीला तोमा देहादी बंधना आजी तुम छिन्न कैल मायर बंधना आजी कृष्ण प्राप्ति योग्य हैला तोमार मन वेद धर्म लांगी कैले प्रसाद भक्षण. My dear Bhattacharya, today you have been released from the material bondage in the bodily conception of life. You have cut to pieces the shackles of illusory energy. Today, your mind has become fit to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Because surpassing the Vedic regulative principles, you have eaten the remnants of food offered to Lord. After speaking to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. And from that day on, Bhattacharya was free because his false pride had been dismantled. From that day on, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya did not know anything but the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. And from that day, he could explain the revealed scriptures only in accordance with the process of devotional service. Seeing that, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya was firmly fixed in Vaishnavism. Gopinath Acharya, who was his brother-in-law, began to dance and clap and chant Hari Hari. The next day, Bhattacharya went to visit the temple of the Lord Jagannath. But before he reached the temple, he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya fell down at his feet, offered various prayers, and spoke of his previous disposition with great humility. And then he questioned, Mahaprabhu, can you please tell me, out of all the bhakti sadhan, whatever the process, the items of devotional service, what is the greatest one? Prabhu said, of all the items in the execution of devotional service, the greatest one is chanting Bhagwan's name. Kaila Nama Sankirtan, do Sankirtan. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmanevedanam. These are the 9 things in executing devotional service. Listening, glorifying, meditating, remembering, serving his lotus feet, offering worship in the temple, offering prayers, becoming servant of the Lord, becoming the Lord's friend, and Sarvatma Nivedana, offering oneself at the lotus feet of the Lord. These are the 9 things. And Bhagwan says, doing kirtan, just singing Bhagwan's name, that will do everything. If you're chanting Krishna, 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 so you are glorifying Krishna, and you are at the same time hearing, and at the same time remembering. So this is the highest, chanting Bhagwan's name. Because in this age of hypocrisy and quarrel in Kali Yuga, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of Hari name. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Kalau Nasti, Kalau Nasti Gatir. Anyatha, there is no other way. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very elaborately explained the Hare Nama verse of Brihad Naradiya Purana, and Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya was stuck with wonder to hear this explanation. Gopinath Acharya now told Sārvabhauma, my dear Bhattacharya, what I foretold you now has taken place. See, now you understand what I meant? That he is not ordinary. You were thinking he's just a mendicant, and I have told you, no, he's Krishna himself. Sarbhaum Bhattacharya was very happy with Gopinath Acharya. He paid his obeisances to him and said, because you're a devotee and I am related to you, thank you for being merciful upon me. And because of you, Lord showed mercy on me. You are a first-class devotee and I am in the darkness of logical arguments. Because of your relationship with the Lord has bestowed his benediction upon me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with this humble statements, and after embracing Bhattacharya, he said, now go to Jagannathji's temple and see Jagannathji. After visiting the temple of Lord Jagannath, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya returned home with Jagadanand and Damodar. Bhattacharya, he had been to the temple, so he got a lot of prasadam from there, and this prasadam was given to his own Brahman servant along with Jagadanand and Damodar. At that time, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya then composed 2 verses on the leaf of palm tree, giving the palm leaf to Jagadanand Prabhu. The Bhattacharya requested him to deliver it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagadanand and Damodar then returned to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing him the prasadam and these 2 verses. But Mukundatta took the palm leaf from the hands of Jagadanand before he could deliver. Mukundatta then copied the 2 verses on the walls outside the room. After this, Jagadanand took the palm leaf from Mukundatta and delivered it to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As soon as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the 2 verses, he immediately tore the palm leaf. However, all the devotees read these verses on the outside wall. They all kept them within their hearts. The verse was as follows. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartham Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Budhiryasyam Aham Prapadye Kalana Nashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijamya Pradush Kartum Krishna Chaitanya Nama Avira Bhuta Tasya Pada Ravinde Gadam Liyatam Chitta Bringaha. Let me take the shelter of Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to teach us this real knowledge of bhakti and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of transcendental mercy. Let me surrender onto his lotus feet. Let my consciousness, which is like honeybee, take the shelter of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has just now appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to teach the ancient system of Bhakti Yoga to himself. This system had almost been lost due to the influence of time. These 2 verses by Sarbhaum Bhattacharya will always declare his name and fame as loudly as pounding drum, for they have become pearl necklace around the necks of all devotees. Indeed, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya became an unalloyed devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not know anything but rendering service at his lotus feet. Bhattacharya always chanted the name of Sri Krishna. Indeed, the chanting of his names, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanting of his names became his meditation. One day, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya came before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and recited another verse. He quoted a verse from Lord Brahma's prayers, which means, Te tatte anukampam su samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhunjana hridva vagva purvir vidhadan namaste jivetayo bhakti padeso daya bhag. The Bhattacharya said, one who seeks your compassion and thus tolerates all kind of adverse conditions due to the karma of past deeds, who engages in your devotional service with his mind, word, and body, who always offers his obeisances unto you, is certainly a bona fide candidate for becoming your unalloyed devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard it and he said, Oh, Sārvabhauma, you changed one word there. It was Mukti Pade. Did you change it to Bhakti Pade? Bhattacharya said, if one is getting bhakti, there is no need of mukti. That's why, yes, I changed it from mukti to bhakti. There are 5 kinds of mukti: Shalokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Shashti, Sayujya. But if somebody gets the devotion at your lotus feet, they go beyond mukti. They are not even desiring for mukti. So a pure devotee does not even like to hear about Sayujya Mukti, which inspires him with fear and hatred, because indeed the pure devotee would rather go to hell than merge with the Brahma Jyoti. Sarbhaum Bhattacharya then went on talking about Mukti, and he said, even though he is offered all kinds of liberation, Salokya, Sashti, Samipya, Sarupake, Tvam Apiyuta, Diyamanana Grihanti, Vinamatse Vanajanaha. He quoted a verse from Kapilupakyan, Bhagwan Kapil's verse. He said, even though a devotee is offered all kind of liberations, he does not accept them because he is satisfied in engaging in the service of the Lord. Bhagwan then said, that's very good. You change Mukti Pad to Bhakti Pad. But let me also tell you one thing. Mukti Pad means the lotus feet of Mukunda. So that Mukti Pad here is referring to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Since I can understand Krishna according to these 2 meanings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what is the point in changing it? Sarbhaum Bhattacharya said, I was not able to give that reading to the verse, although your explanation is correct. I understood it this way, so I added Bhakti Pade, but now what you are saying, I understand it, Mahaprabhu. So the word Mukti Pada means the lotus feet of Lord Mukunda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy with Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya. He embraced him. And then indeed, that very person who had been very accustomed to reading and teaching Mayavad philosophy was now hating the word Mukti. This is possible only because of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As long as it does not turn iron into gold by its touch, no one can recognize an unknown touch to be a touchstone. Upon seeing the transcendental Vaishnavism in Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, everyone could understand that Lord Chaitanya was none other than Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. After this incident, all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri headed to the home of Kashi Mishra, headed by Kashi Mishra, came to take shelter of lotus feet of Lord. Later, I shall explain how Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya always engaged in the service of the Lord. I shall also describe in full detail how Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya perfectly rendered service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering him alms. If one hears with faith and love these pastimes concerning Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, he very soon is freed from the net of speculation and fruitive activity and attains the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Now we come to the end of the chapter. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishnadas, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 6th chapter, describing the liberation of Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya. So we finished first book. Now, second book we are going to start. There are 4 more books in Madhya Lila. So we'll be starting second book tomorrow. All your questions? All right. Jayanti is asking, Tattvamasi, you are that Ma, please explain. I am unable to understand. Tattvamasi means, this is a meditation. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Asi means is or are. So you are that. That means Bhagwan or that Brahma Tattva. Brahma or Bhagwan is unseen. So when the student comes to his guru, the guru is making him realize, see, you are not this ordinary body. You are the soul. You are the part and parcel of that super soul. So you do not consider yourself, you are a living entity, but you are not this what you think you are. You are that. What that? That is referred by many names. Vedantis will call him Brahma, the cosmic energy, omniscient, which is unseen. Yogis will call him Paramatma because they are meditating on that inside. So that which is, again, that word, tat, that word which is pointing out to that universal God or Bhagwan. He has thousands of names, millions of names. Some people call him Ishwar. Some people call him Paramatma. He is Bhutatma. He is Bhutkrit, Bhutbhave, Bhutbhavan. He is Vishnu. He is Vashatkara. He is Sarva, Sharva, Shiva. He is Bhaskara. He is Bhanu. Thousands of names. Vishnu Sahasranam you read. And that is not just enough. More thousands of names. You take every thousand of name and there will be different names. He said so many names from when the student has gone to the teacher says thousands and millions of names are trying to describe that one. And that one, where is it? It is in your heart. And you, my dear student, you are also part and parcel of that one. Tat Tvam Asi. Do not think yourself as a mortal being confined to this mortal body and living for this small time on this planet Earth. You have come here to know your higher self. So you belong to that God, that Bhagwan, that Brahma, that Paramatma. The Veda describe him in various names, but you also belong to him. So Tattvam Asi, which Gita Bhagwan says, Mama Evancho Jeeva Loke Jeeva Bhuta Sanat. Gita Bhagwan makes it personalized. The Guru is teaching Tattvam Asi, that you are, that you are, that you are. But Gita says, Bhagwan says, you are mine, you are mine, you are mine. So whatever that people are referring to, the Vedas are referring, Krishna says, I am Veda, Aham Veda. He says, I am Veda. I am the one who created the Veda. Veda Vid Eva Chaham. The one who has to be known through Vedas, it is me. And before that, in 1515, he said, I live in everybody's heart. So Vedas have all the statements, Tattvamasi. And all those people who speak about Vedantas, they use all these words, Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. But where is the Tattvamasi? Gita. Gita, he says very clearly. I am the Veda. I am Vedantkrit. I am the compiler of Vedanta. I am the Vedanta known by the Vedas. Veda with Eva. So that is what it is. So Tattvamasi means you are that. Means you are part and parcel of Krishna. Simple. All right. We'll end it up here and we'll meet you tomorrow. May all your days and night be Chaitanya Radhe Radhe.